Guys, we got some breaking news. This just came out from Shams Charania. The Lakers are reorganizing their basketball operations department and terminating executives Joey and Jesse Buss from their respective front office positions, effective immediately. Statement from Joey and Jesse Buss: "We are extremely honored to have been part of this organization for the last 20 seasons. Thank you to Lakers Nation for embracing our family every step of the way. We wish things could be different with the way our time ended with the team. At times like this, we wish we could ask our dad what he would think about it all."
Wow.
Jovan, let me get your closest with the team. Let me get your initial reaction to Joey and Jesse Buss being terminated in their roles.
Okay. Yeah, this is a lot to process.
Right? I mean, that's look, I don't mean to just throw it on you and put it on
ready,
your
set, go, Jovan.
I'll say, let me say this while Jovan's collecting his thoughts here for a moment.
Yeah.
We have largely seen Joey and Jesse Buss for years now, and in conversations I've had and everything else that they've been really good at their jobs, that they've done very well in their positions. Obviously, we've got new ownership coming into place with Mark Walter. So, this has got to be factored in here somewhere. What this is going to mean for the entire front office, we'll have to see. But generally, this wouldn't be seen as a performance issue because they are viewed in pretty high regard around the NBA.
Yeah. So, sorry, my phone's going off now. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall with both the sale of the team and them launching that new sports acquisition business called Buss Capital. So I think it was trending in this direction. It was unclear. I've clearly the way that this has been trending in terms of like the front office has been that they're probably going to revamp it or bolster it, but I wasn't sure how involved they were going to be or if they were going to be potentially marginalized. So obviously, like, this is breaking right now, and I'm trying to find out more information as we go. But I think the first reaction is, like, again, based on the sale, like, we can now say clearly that they were the two that voted against the sale, right? It was 4-2 among the Buss siblings, and they wanted to keep the team and keep it in their ownership and one day inherit it and be the two primary people running it. So the fact that they ended up selling, I think at that point, that was probably the sign that they were going to be either marginalized or moved on from entirely. And I do think it is a blow from a scouting perspective. Like, so Jesse's been the one who's been the one of the primary scouting voices. And if you look at the Lakers track record over the last 15 years, they've had a lot more hits than misses in the draft. And Jesse's been a big part of that. And then Joey has been running the G League team, which the Lakers have had one of the best G League operations over the last decade or so. And kind of in concert with Jesse, like that's been a lot of the South Bay guys. And even if they haven't panned out as Lakers necessarily, just looking at guys like Scottie Pippen or Jay Huff, who've gone on to be successful NBA role players, like those were all Lakers discoveries. So I do think if we look at the last 15 years, I think the best thing the front office has done has consistently been finding these gems in the second round, undrafted, G League, whatever. And like Joey and Jesse have been a big part of that. So I am interested to see how they go about replacing that.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how the whole front office, kind of this restructuring that Shams Charania is talking about, is ultimately going to shake out. What is this going to look like under Mark Walter? Does this mean other things are going to be happening as well? Was this a one-off move here? Where does all of this go from here with the Lakers front office? Jason, I know you're not as tuned into all the front office stuff, but obviously this is a big change here for the Lakers. And based on the statement, it doesn't sound like this was something that this is not a mutual thing. This is not Jesse and Joey saying we are going to, go spend more time with family or something like that. This is termination here. Give us your thoughts.
So let's take Joey and Jesse and set them aside for a second. The Lakers are going to be fine. Mark Walters, they're going to find competent professionals to fill those roles. They're going to pay well. They're going to be competitive in the marketplace. And the Lakers will have smart basketball people that are hunting in the draft and that are making those like supporting decisions for the front office in terms of talent acquisition at the youth level, right? So like I think that's important to disclose up front. Like I don't think they're going to get rid of Joey and Jesse and hand the keys over to Kurt Rambis. Like it's not, like this is part of the attempt from the new ownership group to make this less of a small family business and more of a real life, dead serious NBA franchise. So that's the first piece of this that we can set to the side. Looking at Joey and Jesse, what's unfortunate about it is when you look at the parochial small family business way the team was run over the course of the last, decade and a half since Dr. Bust passed away, it's like those are the two that I think have been at least making the most sincere effort to educate themselves on the NBA and become basketball experts. They're like, Jim Buss was very much like I'm going to sell the future for the present, anything I can do to get the slightly better team for this next season. And there was such a lack of big picture perspective that he consistently handicapped the team and he needed to go. And he obviously was responsible for those big issues surrounding the cap spike in the mid 2010s, right? And then, I would say with Jeannie, it's just a complete reliance on her friends, which has led to her depending on certain things, like a guy like Kurt Rambis, who is allegedly an experienced, kind of guy who's been around the league for a long time, but is pretty consistently revealed himself to be a guy who wasn't very successful relative to other NBA players, coaches, talent evaluators, right? So, like, I think there's a certain amount, like when you look at the Buss family in general, the Joey and Jesse kind of stand out from the masses as the ones who truly put in the effort to educate themselves and to be the best possible basketball executives they can be. Jovan, I think, laid it out really well. Like, there have been some misses, particularly at the top of the draft. I'd argue that's been their biggest weakness. But arguably, when you get to the top of the draft, from everything that I've heard at least, it hasn't always been Joey and Jesse's decision ultimately with some of those top end picks. But there have been some misses. Obviously, Dalton hasn't panned out the way that you would hope. Obviously, Jalen Hood-Schifino didn't pan out. Taking Alonzo Ball over Jason Tatum. There's a lot of examples of higher end draft picks that have missed. But I agree with Jovan. When you zoom out, especially with some of the hits, like turning a guy like Austin is like a bona fide top 30 player in the NBA and you got him undrafted. Like, there are legitimate wins in there. And frankly, if you start looking everywhere around the league, even in Oklahoma City, they've had successes because of the sheer amount of opportunity they've had in the draft, but they've had a lot of misses too, guys that have been hurt, guys that haven't been very good. And so, like, the truth of the matter is the draft is kind of a crapshoot no matter what. And Joey and Jesse have done better than most. And so I feel bad for Joey and Jesse because out of all of the family members, I think they were the best in terms of legitimately talented basketball executives. And it'll be hard for me to imagine them finding another opportunity. So that's kind of unfortunate for them. But on the flip side, let's be clear, like, Mark Walter's coming in here to run a professional basketball team, and he's going to put good, talented people in their positions. And I think the Lakers front office will ultimately, as soon as they get, especially from the top down, when they reorganize there, I think ultimately the Lakers front office will be better for all of this.
And the Buss family, Joey and Jesse, they will retain a minority ownership stake in the team, so they're not losing that in this decision here. Mark Walter, though, coming in, as you mentioned, there we should see the areas where we should see the Mark Walter effect is when it comes to hiring coaches, when it comes to hiring front office personnel, when it comes to facilities, things of that nature. The NBA has a salary cap; it's collectively bargained. There is only so much you can do. You can't suddenly go buy Shohei Ohtani and defer his contract in the NBA. That can't happen in the NBA. So where we're going to see the effect is in front office personnel, in coaching, in facilities, things of that nature that we'll see that really impact having this new ownership. And so I do think that we'll get obviously the best that Mark Walter could find coming into, and the Lakers can find coming into these new roles in this reorganized front office. But I guess from here, Jovan, is this the beginning Or is this just a move and then everything settles and we move forward from here? Or do you think there's more to come? Quick reminder, everybody, we got a lot of you in here right now. Please make sure you do hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed yet, you're just discovering the Lakers Collective here, hit that subscribe button as we're looking to get over 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. And we're going to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. We will be back in 30 seconds to take more of your chat questions. We'll be right back.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
I don't have a clear answer right now, but what I will say, and I grew up a Laker fan, so the buses have been in my life basically since I was a little kid, and I do feel like I think this is a sad ending to the tenure, right? Like you go through the years, and one of the big things with Jeannie was she would say that like she was never going to sell the team because that's not what her father wanted, and she wanted to honor his legacy. And I think it had gotten to the point where we can't acknowledge, like, I think Mark Walter obviously purchasing the majority stake in the team is good for the fan base. It's good for the organization. I think it is going to elevate them into that, as we've discussed before, like that stratosphere of the best run organizations that also are spending the most. And that combination, you add in like the Lakers legacy, what the brand means, the tradition, the history, that could put the Lakers in an untouchable spot in the NBA. At the same time, like Dr. Buss obviously bought this team, 50 years ago, and it just was passed on through his children, and like they had been a big part of it, and they have had the legacy and the tradition, and it just feels like them. I mean, if we're calling it what it is, like they were fired, like terminated is fired. So to sell the team at a point that we were not necessarily expecting it to be sold, even though there had been some murmurs about it, and then to fire two of his sons in the beginning of the season, when, like, again, I don't think there's been anything they've done that's been like fireable, at least to my knowledge. It's a little bit of a sad ending, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It was sorry, I'm getting messages here as we're trying to respond on the fly to all of this. Man, this is very much a surprise, and as you say, a surprise, because look, I'm older than you guys, and the Buss family's been part of the Lakers organization for as long as I remember, from before I was even born. So this has been, look, change is tough, and it is going to be weird seeing less Buss involvement in this Lakers team. Of course, Jeannie still in her role, but Joey and Jesse have largely done a good job. And so it'll be interesting to see how they ultimately proceed from here. How do they reorganize this team and get things set up the way they want on the front office side? Man, this was out of
crazy news, man.
To me, this was out of left field. I was not expecting this to be coming.
It felt like that's, I guess, to kind of continue on the side point for a second, like it just felt like this would probably be something they did in the offseason, where it's like there's a big reorg, they move on, they can say they parted ways or whatever, and then they add whatever 1 to 2 people that they want to add as like the primary decision makers alongside Rob. But to do this, I mean, again, this is just like speculating, but maybe they were trying to do that or in the process of doing that, and then they were not on board with that, and they were like, all right, then we're gonna have to terminate. Like, I don't have the full story right now, so I do expect there's going to be some fallout from this. I think that there will certainly be. I could say, I think the big ESPN piece is going to be coming with the inside the Lakers breakup.
Right.
I still ultimately think this is for the best. I think like
long term,
like,
yeah, I agree.
For the best,
even short term,
not necessarily the specific firing, quote unquote, of Joey and Jesse, but I do think revamping the Lakers front office was something we all knew was coming and something that needed to happen. To put it very simply, the Laker front office has lacked any coherent basketball vision for the last decade. No clear, like, this is what we believe in. no clear like this style of player is a Lakers basketball player, no consistency in approach offseason to offseason, no real big picture plan. Like there's been a severe lack of like on track, like all people pulling in the same direction type of identity with this front office over the last decade. And so, ultimately, like for instance, like let's say you got a coaching staff that needs to get tossed as part of a fire, like just Darvin Ham getting fired, for instance. Like ultimately, usually when that sort of thing happens, it doesn't mean the entire staff is bad. It doesn't mean there's not a good assistant or two in there. Like sometimes this is just how it goes. When you go to revamp an entire front office, there are going to be good professionals in that system that are going to lose their jobs, and it's unfortunate. But I think that when we talk about the Lakers front office 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about them in a much more positive light than we did the last 5 years.
Yeah, hopefully that is indeed the case, and it becomes this well-oiled machine, particularly as we see the Dodgers routinely, despite what some of the naysayers may think about them ruining baseball or whatever. They're seen as one of the best-run organizations, if not the best-run organization in baseball, and hopefully that is the light that the Lakers are in, despite the admitted a little bit of sadness here from the Lakers side of things. Certainly.